everyone, this is Gail. It's good to see you tonight. Welcome to the live stream. Before we get started, let me remind you to give me a like on the stream if you like it. And if you have not subscribed, go ahead and smash that subscribe button. Most of my content is about travel, lifestyle, and service dog videos, but I do also have some content updating everyone about Hurricane Helene. And tonight we're going to talk about a cleaning bundle. This was sponsored by Busy Lady, and we really appreciate that. So here in just a little bit, we're going to be talking about that. Looking forward to it. Hey, Living Positively After Challenges is in the house. Hey, Lori. Welcome. Guess what I'm sitting here doing? I'm autographing books. I actually finally got them. I won't say done, started. I got them started. So I know I'm way behind. Y'all who have not seen this channel yet, ever since the 1st of January, I have been dealing with back problems, a couple of fractures there in my back, and then I got COVID, and then there was all kinds of things. So yeah, it's been kind of crazy. Lori, actually want to talk to you about maybe doing a joint video on our books. For those of you who don't know, Lori at Living Positively is also a published author. And she has written several books that we have featured on the channel. And the latest is The Purple Sun, which is a poetry book about domestic violence. And she's healing through poetry. It's a really neat book. Actually, they've all been really neat. But I especially like this one. She outdid herself. And y'all will see that. Okay, great. I will message you. I am dropping them. I am so sorry. Let me put them back in the box. Oh, this has been one of... Now I'm going to knock the microphone winding. Okay. Y'all, bear with me. This has been one of them days. Let me just say that. I'm going to set this right here. There we go. I'm not going to drop it again if it's on that other table. Hey, Big Tom Span is in the house. Hi, Big Tom Span. How are you? Welcome, and it's good to see you. So I've got some photos I have to show you. Let me pull this screen up. You all have been very, very kind to sponsor some things for hurricane survivors. Let me show you a couple of things here. This is our laundry sheet. Somebody was kind enough to donate a lot of laundry sheets, 2,000 loads worth. And then I met with, okay, Big Tom Span says, I'll be okay. All right. That's good news. Let me pull this up then. Hold on. There you go. All right. He's going to be okay. All right. I'm glad for that. So, okay, let me show you the laundries. These are laundry detergent sheets that you just put in to, it's like one sheet for a small load, generally. Then 2 sheets for a medium load or a large load, sometimes 3. But anyway, we're all sitting here and we're packaging them up enough. There's several different brands. And there are 5 loads worth in each packet. We have already given out several packets, and there is a laundry ministry that will be getting in touch with and giving them some of the packets. So there's our hands right there. And let me bring up the photo. We put these in a laundry basket. We thought that was going to be appropriate. To put the laundry sheets in the laundry basket. Now, don't get these confused with the dryer sheets. They are not the same thing. These, some people like to put dryer sheets in their shoes or whatnot. to help them smell better. They can't do this with these because they are laundry sheets and it'll get all sticky and messy. So we made sure to label each one very plainly, laundry detergent, not for dryer. And we put on there, how many sheets you need for a load, whether it's, the half sheet, the one sheet, and so forth. And you can kind of see this over here on the corner there where they're marked, and here, and one per day per family is what we're doing. So we've got them all in a large white laundry basket. And yeah, we're giving them out. We're offering them. People are stopping by the church for them, and we're letting them have some. If it's a large family, like a mom with 5 kids and a husband, like we had the other day, then we're making sure they get 2 packets and not just one. Because it takes a lot when you have a large family. So, but we've already had some people stopping by, asking for them, and we've been giving them out. And then we have had some people pick them up, but we're putting them in the blessing box at church. So people are picking up, and we've let the Johnson County Long-Term Recovery Group know. So when they get people in that need the laundry detergent, they're sending them our way, but we're going to be giving them some laundry detergent to hand out, because one of the things that they're doing is getting people set up. So they're rebuilding some houses, and they're helping replace some appliances that washed away or were severely damaged during Hurricane Helene. So things like that. So to help them get started, we're giving them some laundry detergent packs. And also, when somebody gets a new camper, we're going to be giving them laundry packs as well. So I don't know if you saw it, but somebody very generously donated a new camper to a family. And you can't show the families because of privacy reasons. There are some YouTubers that are showing, but we want to make sure that, we want to respect their privacy unless they specifically say, yeah, it's okay for YouTube. But my understanding is the woman who got the camper was thrilled, absolutely thrilled. Now, we are a little frustrated that it is this long after Hurricane Helene and we are still doing campers. But, it's just the way it's going. FEMA, who knows why they're not bringing campers up here. I have no clue. I'm just glad for the help that we can get these people, because some of them really still need it. And this is going to be a long time before our area recovers from the hurricane. We're looking at like 5 to 7 years. Some people are saying less, but I think they're going to be a little optimistic, because we still have families, and I got to go by and see if she'll let me take some photos. I know her, so I'm hoping she says yes. But her car is still in the tree in front of her house where the hurricane sort of did this brand new parking job, if you'll say. So, things like that. There's one that's on top of a culvert, things like that we have to deal with. So I appreciate you all and all of your help so we can help these people. Let me go into the chat here, because I saw a couple of things flash up. Hey, Valerie Reese is in the house. Hi, Valerie. Now, Valerie can give you an idea of what it's like, too. She was here in December. There have been a few changes since then, but it's still kind of crazy. And Mel Mel is here. Hi, Mel Mel. It's good to see you. I hope everything's well with you. Yeah, they are. They are. So, and we were so excited to get the camper. It was a really awesome day. The person who donated, oh my gosh. If you all haven't seen the video, go check it out so you can see what the camper was like inside. But he actually even stocked it. So they have coffee and a coffee maker and towels and blankets and sheets and everything somebody would need to get started. We were all so excited, so excited. And like I said, I understand the person that got it was just beside herself. Um, because after all this time, we shouldn't be in trailers, but we shouldn't be trailers, but we are. This is a picture of the trailer. And oh my gosh, we were so excited. So here's a picture. And y'all can see this is not a small trailer. So it'll be great for a family. Um, and we actually had one person who was already staying with family because they had some problems, and a family decided to go ahead and gift them with a camper. And the mom said that that was the first time her son had his own room was when they got the camper. And it just makes you cry. The house that they were in was like completely just everything washed away on the bottom floor, and that's where their room was. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. Let's see. Mel's here. Oh, Iron Fire Horse is here. Hey, it's good to see you, Irene. Yeah, but she's referencing Peter. I gotta find him. Hi, gotta go and get back to my job. Well, it's good to see you, Peter. I hope things are better for you. I really do. And Big Tom's fan, those solar chargers that you donated have been amazing. Like, I don't know if I told you, but we had tears over those. You know, people like the toys and stuff that everybody donated, but we had tears over the solar chargers. Super appreciate that too. Um, yeah, Irene is saying, Iron Fire Horse is saying, yeah, it's big enough for a family. It's a mansion compared to my minivan camper, but I would get lost in there. I understand that. I understand that. But yeah, and I couldn't believe that he took the time and trouble to stock it. And like one of the things that we're doing is we have the blessing box, right? So we're trying to make sure that people have food, and he took care of that. It was such a good moment. All right. So our next thing, moving on, and let me show you the picture of the laundry detergent sheets. I took a picture, but some of them came in a second package, and the picture that I took was of the first package. So let me pull this up so I can show you and I think this is like a few hundred, close to 1,000 sheets of laundry detergent. And these things I think are great because, like, personally, I use them for camping because you don't have a mess if they spill out. You don't have to worry about the liquid spilling out when you go to the laundromat to wash your clothes. So I really like them. So I was really, really tickled when somebody said, "Hey, I'm going to donate enough for 2,000 loads." And I was like, you can ask my husband sometime if he's ever on here. I was like running through the house screaming. I was so excited. And here is the picture of the first package that we got, and the next package arrived a couple of days later. So that's why everything's not in the photo, but there you go. There you go. So super stoked. Iron Firehorse says, "I line dry. I never used dryers. I line dry a lot in the van. I'll hang them up inside the van. Yeah. The only thing I won't do that for is like jeans or something really heavy. Like if I spill something, I need to wash my jacket, that kind of thing. So, all right. Oh, I can't pick that up. Hold on. So we talked last week about cleaning bundles. So that's what I'm trying to do now, is trying to collect some cleaning bundles because we're having people that are asking again for cleaning supplies. And before, like when the hurricane first hit, that first probably month, we had organizations donating a lot of cleaning products, and you all really came through with a lot of cleaning products, and that was amazing. But the houses, a lot of them have sat. They've gotten some cleanup done, what they can, but like one woman still has water running underneath her trailer. And it's just, that's just more moisture to get in the house. And so the moisture is causing mold problems and all kinds of issues. I talked to another woman, and she has lost the insulation out of the bottom of her house because hurricane came in, waters rose, and when it hit the bottom of her house, it took out a lot of the insulation that was in the floor. So not only has our floor been really cold, but there's that moisture again and more dirt to deal with. So anyway, people are asking for cleaning supplies again now that the weather is warm and they can really get in their house and start cleaning. So what I'm trying to do is put together cleaning bundles, whereas before, like there's one organization, United Methodist Committee on Relief, and what they donated was called cleaning buckets, and we're not going quite that far. Those were pretty expensive. They said that they cost around $50 to $70 per bucket. So I'm not going that far because people already have a lot of those things, but I still want to help them out because they're asking for it. So the cleaning bundles that I'm putting together are $10 each. And by the time I get everything in PayPal and get everything transferred over, then it's coming to that, like to the penny. But I'm able to get lots of things from everything, actually, from the Dollar Tree. So I'm really excited about that. Let me show you some of the things. And Busy Lady sponsored this one, so she's not in the chat now, but whenever she comes in, I got to give her a really big thank you for doing this. I'm just getting excited about lots of things lately. So, all right. So what I'm trying to do, everything won't fit in the bucket, but a lot of things will. So, okay. One of the things that I'm trying to do is, my stars. I better put the lid on that. It'll dry. Okay. So one of the things I'm trying to do is get them some vinegar. Vinegar is now being recommended to clean mold because it soaks in, and apparently bleach doesn't soak into the wall. I don't know why. I've just been looking at billions of websites in the EPA and lots of places. So what they're recommending is vinegar, but you have to make sure it's cleaning vinegar, because the other vinegar is just not as strong, so it doesn't do the job on mold. But this is what's being recommended specifically for mold. So as part of the $10 that's being donated, and Dollar Tree having it, we're able to get 2 large bottles of cleaning vinegar to help them out with the mold. So Irene is saying vinegar is the best. Okay. Right there. So we're able to get that. And I wanted to get sponges. Unfortunately, they didn't have the large sponges. So I'm getting a pack of sponges. So they have at least multiple sponges. Now, if I go to the Dollar Tree and they have the beer sponges like you use on your car, that's what I'm going to get. But I want to get something. So this will do. This will still help. Yeah, cleaning vinegar is, let me put this in here. Cleaning vinegar is 4%, all regular is 2%. Let me see. I don't know. It doesn't say what the percentage is. It just says spot test all surfaces. Use it on a cleaning cloth or towel and wipe with dry paper towel. Change towels frequently. So it doesn't say on this what it is as far as strength. Irene is saying up here in Canada anyway. It's probably the same or similar. You know, I just know that there's a big difference between the cleaning vinegar and the other vinegar that you would use like on salads and stuff. So let me see. Oh, gloves. Got to have rubber gloves. Getting the reusable heavy duty gloves. That way they can clean whatever they want to. And also a cleaner, getting the Lysol cleaner. This is a concentrate. So this one will make 5 gallons. And to help with that, we are doing a spray bottle. So that way, they'll have some help there. And buckets. So that's what I'm doing in the cleaning bundles. And like I say, Busy Lady donated the $10 for these. And I'm so excited. My hope is to get 30 of these. So hopefully that will happen. Whatever we get, we're giving out to the families. And you put all that in a bucket. Actually, no, I can't put all of it in the bucket. What I can do is put one of the cleaning vinegars, but everything else I can get in the bucket with no problem. It's just that they're going to get one cleaning vinegar separate. So, yeah. And the buckets, I'm just doing the 1 gallon buckets because they are easier to find at a good price than the 5 gallon buckets. And these are still, even though they're Dollar Tree, they're still pretty sturdy. I'm actually pretty impressed with quality of the bucket, or I wouldn't be putting it in everything. So, but yeah, the prices you can see all about $25, even for the cleaning vinegar, which is like unbelievable. So 1 bucket plus the extra vinegar. And if I get 30 of them, I'm going to give these away through the long range recovery group, probably because it's just they're the ones that are doing a lot of distributions. I may just go ahead and do a giveaway day between the bucket and oh my stars. Thank you so much, Big Tom Stan. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much. Now YouTube takes a cut out of that, but that's okay. We'll work it out. So thank you. Y'all. Thank you. I'm gonna cry. Thank you. This is big. So the long range recovery team is really trying to organize a lot of the products and a lot of the cleanup crews that are coming in. Last week we talked about maybe putting together a team for mid-April, and that's been done. There's a church that has volunteered, and they're going to be up, and we actually have another team. It's 2 small teams, but they're putting it together. And they're coming up. They'll be here on, I think it's Monday for 3 days. So super excited stuff because it's still a mess up here. In some areas worse than others. And, the other day we even had some more trees fall, and it's like, can we stop with the trees falling? But that's just the way it is. Whenever you have a storm, and you all have seen this happen, when you have a storm and trees start falling, one tree catches on the other, and it stays there until the next storm comes in, and then it goes on down, or they both go on down. And like, I've got a huge tree limb in my yard that fell from the top of the tree, and it's just hanging there sideways in the tree, and we're just kind of looking at it going, okay, when is this thing going to fall? Because it's a widowmaker, and we're just going to let nature kind of do its thing. Um, it's just, fortunately, it's in the backyard and nothing else is around it. So a couple of you all were not here last week when I showed the photo of one of our trees, and not our trees, but one of the county trees. And I'm going to show that to give you all an idea of some of the destructive force of the hurricane. And this is one of the things that probably will never make like the news. But this tree, you see parts of it because it's down, but this tree was the oldest tree in the state, 300 years old, and the hurricane took it down. Now you can see there is, some possible decay in the center of the tree, but it was the root system that gave way. And there's my husband there. So what they've done is, and all this wood that's around them and stuff, all came from this one tree. And so what they've done is they've allowed people to come in, and you could have a part of the tree as a memory, as a keepsake of the tree. So a lot of artists are going in and taking parts, and we took a part. So there's my husband there. And they had all kinds of helpers there with chainsaws and so forth to make this happen so you could get some of the tree. But it's just unreal. Like this is part of the main trunk, and it's just unreal. That was the wind from the hurricane that did that, because we had water. Like we had a storm system that came in and brought so much rain. It was unbelievable. And then Hurricane Helene came in and it pushed that storm out of the way for a couple of hours. And then boom, we had, it depends on what report you want to look at, somewhere they're saying between 8 to 13 inches is in rainfall is what we're hearing. So like some of the creeks, there was one that exceeded its banks by 10 feet. There are creeks and streams that exceeded it by more than that. So yeah, it's been crazy about everything. But this tree is kind of a symbol of how destructive it was. And so people have been really upset about the tree. And I think it's just because, you would be upset anyway. I mean, we're talking about 300 years old. This thing was massive. And this is an oak tree. But, it's just kind of the symbol for us of the destructiveness, because 300-year-old trees that are absolutely massive don't come down. My husband and I were in a hurricane several years ago when Hurricane Isabel came through eastern North Carolina. And we were making the decision, okay, where do we park our cars? And my husband took his to the bank directly across the street from us, and they let us park it underneath one of their drive-throughs. But it was in kind of a dip, so I didn't want to put mine there. So I parked mine under the massive oak tree. It was not as big as this one, but I parked mine underneath it because I said, okay, if that oak tree has been there for 100 or so years that they were saying, then it's withstood lots of hurricanes. So parked it under the tree. I was fine. He parked at the bank, and there was some minor flooding, but not bad. We're talking inches, not feet. So yeah. Let's see. It's okay as long as it can't damage anything or anyone. Yeah, fortunately, there is like nothing under it for that limb to fall. So that's why we're all like, okay, nothing has to happen. Because it's actually, we had someone come out and look at it. And he's like, this is going to be dangerous to take it down just because of the way you have to get up there and get to it. So it was actually his suggestion that if we were okay with it, since there's nothing under it, to go ahead and just let it decide on its own when it's going to fall. And we know eventually that's going to happen, but it may be a long time or it may be the next windstorm. Who knows? But yeah. And Irene says, oh man, scenes I saw after the F4 tornado here in 1985 are seared into my brain. Yeah. Yes. And the thing about tornadoes is, there's a storm system coming in, usually, but you don't know where they're going to be. But you have some alerts on the weather radio. And I have a small weather radio, and I got to tell you, I didn't think I was going to like it because it doesn't necessarily pick up the best, like in this room, but it does really well in other areas of the house, and I was really glad I had it. But with the tornadoes, you never know where they're going to be, but that storm system is coming, and those supercells are on the way. And with the hurricane, because we are in the freaking extreme northeast corner of the state, and because we are, I'm just going to say it, I think part of it's poverty. We are 93rd out of 95 counties in terms of economics, so we don't have a lot going on for us up here. We don't get a lot of news coverage. We don't get a lot of weather forecasting. So it's really, that's why we're not sure how much rain fell, So anyway, I won't vent on that, but we don't get a lot of reporting, and that really came through with Hurricane Helene. Plus, they thought it was going to go a slightly different direction, and then they said, well, it was going to spin itself out, and we weren't going to get that much rain. No, they were like, a couple of inches maybe. Low-lying areas that usually flood were going to flood, and oh my gosh, they were like so wrong. You could be on the top of a hill, and if there was any dip, like when you go to cut a driveway, for example, and then rain comes and it washes your driveway out. So, it was insane. Let me just say, some of the things are insane. Let's see. Valerie says, we lost power for over a week with Hurricane Isabel. Yeah, we didn't lose it for quite that long, but we lost it for a few days there. And Rain says, we didn't know they brought out warning alerts after that. Okay. So I thought, okay, 85, and okay, here in 85, we did start to have some alerts. The more accurate ones started coming later. We didn't know they brought the warning alerts in after that. Okay. That was 40 years ago. Yep. Yeah, iron, they go by fast. They do. And so for us, one of the reasons why we got, just hit so bad with Hurricane Helene is because nobody knew it was going to be this bad. But we border northwestern North Carolina. So if that gives you an idea. And in fact, somebody mentioned that North Carolina may foot the bill for a tiny sliver of the cleanup, and they're going to be paying the state, though. It's not going to filter down to us little peons. But part of what happened was the Watauga River over North Carolina flooded, and that's where some of our damage in the hardest hit area of our county, that's where some of their damage came from. Iron says, they do, Tom. We've had more over the years. Yeah, tornadoes are nothing to play around with on those. Absolutely not. When they say a tornado is coming through, you have to pay attention to it. Especially like when we were in Southeast Tennessee, it was it was bad sometimes. I mean, we had an F4 that ripped through parts of 3 counties. That was the super outbreak in 2011. My husband actually had a church down there, and it took the roof off of a lot of people's houses, and the church got damaged. The church I took over later, that was damaged. Another church that I took over later, that was damaged. And even like a couple of years later, we were still dealing with damage from a tornado. And that's nothing like it's going to be here. But part of what we ran into and what we are starting to run into here is there's been damage to people's homes, and because of everything else going on, they didn't realize how much damage there sometimes is. Like, for example, the church that I was there in 2013 that got damaged in 2011, they kept having problems with the window, and the window kept leaking. And some of us were saying, I don't think it's the window. I think it's coming from somewhere else. So finally, some of the men of the church get together and they start walking around, and they look up and they're like, one of the guys supposedly says, "Oh, I don't think we're supposed to be able to see daylight through our roof." And that's just because the roof lifted and was set back down. And that happened even to me when I was in Riceville. I was getting ready. This would have been 14, probably. I don't know. I could ask Stellar Piper, and she could probably tell me down to the time on her phone. We were standing there underneath our carport, watching the weather and trying to decide about taking her to work. And so while we were standing underneath the carport, excuse me, we had this big gust of wind and this really funny sound. And while we were standing under the carport lifted and we lost our center support column. Yeah. And she was just like, "I can't believe you had me out there." I was like, "You're the one that's fixing to be late to work." But those things happen. And we had advance notice that that storm system was coming through. We had enough line of sight that we were looking, and I'm like, I think that's a funnel cloud. And storm change thing is really weird. Like if you're in Southeast Tennessee or Tennessee, because they are surrounded by such heavy rain that you may not see the tornado until it's right there, just because of the density of the rain that's surrounding it, which is probably more than you ever wanted to know about tornadoes. But anyway, we knew the storm system was coming, but even that lifted up our roof. So you get lots of damage. But that damage from tornadoes that I've seen in Southeast Tennessee, and I've seen some pretty big widespread damage, does not compare to what I'm seeing right here. So yeah, it's just one of those things. And let's see. Years, not tornadoes. Yeah. And Tom's saying, we just have cell phone alerts in Chattanooga. If it's really bad, the TV station will stay on. That is, cell phone alerts are great, but up here we have such rugged terrains with the mountains that there's a lot of people that can't get cell service. And that was really, really bad when the hurricane came in, because we had major carriers with cell phone problems because towers were knocked out. Then they brought in portable generators, and then we would have a tree that fell on the generators. And so we couldn't keep cell service up, which was really bad, especially in the areas that were hardest hit. That's why people had to go as soon as they could get there, door to door on ATVs, and having to clean out parts of the road, parts of people's driveways, yelling at each other over culverts, trying to see if they were okay, and physically, and it took weeks to go through and knock on everyone's doors. Here in the city, we were without electricity for 2 weeks, and it was over 4 before part of the county got electricity. So, yeah. Oh gosh, Valerie's saying the tornado in Kentucky took her cousin's house apart a couple of years ago. She lost everything. Yeah, I know. Yeah, it is amazing. I was down in Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, speaking to a group there, and I went to a woman, and she was taking me in the subdivision, and she was like, "Okay, every concrete pad that you see used to have a house on it, but hers was okay, and there was one like across the street and a few driveways down, and it was okay, but the others they had to completely tear down." So it's just crazy. I've been running from bad weather here, Val, with Roseburg, Oregon, getting the backlash from the LA fires, I believe, with a huge flood. Yeah, and unfortunately, fires can they take out the vegetation that holds the waters back. So the fires come in and they happen, and then that clears out the whole area, and then the floods come in. And they've seen that in various places over and over. Um, we're actually a little concerned about that here in some areas because we're a tinderbox. We've already had some fires. I think they said we had 43 acres that were burned right here in this county, and we've got downed trees everywhere. Well, you all saw the little shorts that I did last week, and you see my backyard with all the trees down. And it's like that through most of the county. So if we get a fire, it can cause a lot of problems later because there's nothing to help hold that water in. And we've got places where, like, the creek has rerouted itself. And as the creek rerouted itself, now we have areas next to a creek that weren't next to a creek, and now they're having water issues. We had more flooding. I think I told you all about 3.5 weeks ago. Now we had more flooding, and those houses don't get help because they're not part of the declared FEMA disaster because that emergency declaration is over. But yet they wouldn't have flooded had the creek not rerouted. So it's related to Hurricane Helene, but not enough to make FEMA happy. Of course, nothing is making FEMA happy. Anyway, I'm gonna go. Hey, hi, pup. What are you doing? I see you. I see you. What are you doing? Yeah. No, wait, you gotta leave that alone. Scoot. Yeah. What are you doing? No, don't get into that either. Okay. Wait. Making sure he's not getting into anything. Because he will. Okay, you're gonna lay down? Okay, you can do that. So anyway, it's you have this whole it's kind of a cycle that happens. So yeah. But be safe from the fires because smoke, the way the smoke travels, you can have a fire in one spot and you can have smoke literally hundreds of miles away, which makes it bad if you have asthma. Irene is saying the wildfires are so bad too, living positively. I had to leave camping a couple of years ago because of one road out. The animals were disoriented, not good. No, I ran into that, going to Alaska when I drove through British Columbia. Oh my gosh. And the thing you have to remember is the critters that are up her way are moose, elk, big bears. Here we have deer, we have raccoons, we have black bears, but we don't have like those super big ones. So hats off to you on that. A lot of fires here in Oregon, trying to stay east of them. Wildlife flooded at the safari. Oh gosh. Yeah, it is. It was Pipsy making his cameo appearance here on the video. Now he's cheerfully over here chewing on his paw. I don't know why. I can't figure him out sometimes. But yeah, it's a blessing. Yeah, I would not have envied you at that point. Just no. And I memorized the rhyme about black fight back, bear lay down, brown lay down, white good night. Not that we're going to run into white, except further north, way thousands of miles, but still. With my head and brain injuries, I have to be careful with the smoke. Oh gosh, fire, yeah. With me, it's just my lungs that get twitchy with any kind of smoke. I just have twitchy lungs. We found out, speaking of my lungs, I did a free genetic test, and I can try to find that link because it's now available without a prescription. You can just have it done to see if you're a carrier for what they're calling alpha 1. And that, if you have alpha 1, it means that you have the genetic trait, the defective gene, so that the lung problems are hereditary. Well, I don't have it. I'm a carrier. So what that means is they've said anyway, I'm more susceptible to lung problems and more susceptible to having asthma issues because I'm a carrier. So, yeah. One of those things. You have to just take the deck that life deals you and roll with it. You can't do anything else. So, more inhalers, more treatment, and you just keep on going, right, you all? Y'all know what I'm talking about. So, yeah. Irene says, I was in my van on the road. I was more worried about the bear. I can understand being worried about the bear, but I've also seen black bears rip doors off the cars. And yeah, I don't know which one you had at that time, but yeah. My lungs and head complicate together. Yep, I understand that. Took off when I laid on the horn. Oh, good. Good, good, good. Some of the bears are kind of, I don't want to say docile, but they don't want to be around people. And then you have the ones that are used to being around people. And that's a big challenge. So with you, I'm glad that the horn got rid of the bear. Okay, I'm not even going to try to pronounce this. My lung problems are from hypoxic something, something, something from anesthesia in 1990. And Irene's saying, yep, just keep putting one foot in front of the other. Yep, because what else are you going to do? You don't want to just sit down and let life zoom past you. Although I will say that while I'm sitting down, I have crocheted a number of Afghans for babies. I kid you not. I probably have 8 or 10. I gave one away to a hospice patient because when you have a broken back and you can't do anything, you got to do something. And if you don't, your mind just starts playing tricks on you. So I dragged out the crochet hook, and you all taught me and encouraged me about learning how to do the loom knitting. So I also did some hats and some scarves. Stay busy, keep doing things. Big Tom's band, I had to switch feet. Okay. And that makes sense too. We're talking about putting one foot in front of the other, and Big Tom had to switch feet. And Irene says, okay, the bear she encountered was a black bear, young adult male, I think, walked right in front of me and was just looking at me like, what's going on? Yeah, I'm glad that he was just looking at you like that. I guess, I don't remember what trip it was now. We were, hold on, let me think. 2017 or 2019 on the Alaska Highway, there was a fire that was going on, and we saw a grizzly just calmly walking down the Alaska Highway. We were like, okay, we won't hang around here. Absolutely not. So, but yeah, bears just, you just kind of have to let them do their thing. Like this guy here, it's, you can see there's some smoke in the air, and he was heading toward the road, and some people had pulled off in front of us, and we couldn't get around them. So I'm like cursing underneath my breath and taking out the camera. So fortunately, he started to go into the woods. I think he was just looking for a meal. Oh, and there's hubby on top of a plastic one. Much better to have a plastic one than one of the others. Yeah. So Valerie's knitting right now. She does a lot of amazing things with her knitting too. There was a lot of smoke. Yeah. And that's the thing, because smoke really, I mean, the critters don't know where to go. They don't know what to do. Heck, half the time, we humans don't know what to do when we're confronted with all the smoke. Um, I know that it's just weird, because you expect that there would be answers out there, and until you've actually been in that, it doesn't matter how much book reading you have. Um, it just sometimes flies out the windows. I watched a great drone video a woman did in the Arctic in summer on her van. This grizzly was just coddling and skipping along. LOL. I can just imagine that. Yeah, I can just imagine that. You know, um, we were in Denali National Park, which is now. Wait a minute, they just changed the name of it. Not blank. Anyway, large mountain in Denali National Park. We were up there taking a tour, and we got to see a mama baby and her cub playing, and it was just this really neat thing, to see animals like dancing along or playing along, and yeah, it's just really cool. No, that's one he doesn't mind. Toddling, okay. Big Tom's fan said they showed fires below Miami, Florida. Can't get out of the Keys. I did not know that. I that I hope they can get that fire put out. She followed it a while. It was awesome just see it being natural. Yeah, it's always awesome when there's cubs. It is. It is. But it's just for me, it's like you're out there, and of course, there's a lot more critters out there. And it's just kind of nice to see nature being nature. I like going to Cades Cove in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park for the same reason. And there's a loop out in New Mexico that's really cool. And just all these neat places where you can really see nature. The first antelope I ever saw was going to Devil's Tower. And, we got to the Devil's Tower kind of late. Like we had 10 minutes until the visitor center closed. But it was so cool seeing the antelope out there because I'd never seen one. That's the amazing thing about traveling is you get to experience all of these things where you don't get to if you're letting life pass you by. So you got to get out there. So that worries me though about the Keys. I'm going to have to look that up. I just can't imagine what they're doing. I'm kind of speechless over that because being in several fires, because of traveling, they have to be terrified. I really hope that they can get some things worked out, some fire power to put that out. Um, it's just awful. I talked to one person in Alaska, and he said that everybody was trying to get him to leave his house, and he just didn't want to. Then finally, they came by and convinced him that he had to go. And he kind of dawdled, and he said that he heard the helicopter flying over. And so he looks up, he goes down the driveway, he started to leave, and he looks up and he sees this helicopter, and he literally saw them drop this water flame retardant stuff. I don't really know what it was that they dropped, but whatever it was, it saved his house. And he still had to leave, but when he got back, he had a house. Now there was damage, but he had it. And through going up there, I learned that you want to have a fire break around your house that is a minimum distance of the tallest tree at your house. And then as your trees continue to grow, you got to keep pushing that back. I didn't ever hear that. That's not something I was ever told. Nothing that comes up in casual conversation here where I live, or down in Southeast Tennessee or in Middle Tennessee. You just don't have those conversations because we're not used to having wildfires. So if I ever get the money to have a house of my own, guess what the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure there's no trees around it, because we have here in this area, we have houses right up next to trees. Especially like if you've chosen to live in a wooded area, you may not have but a driveway separating you from your nearest tree, because that's why you're out there. So yeah, something now to think about. Go back. Irene's saying exactly, Gail. I saw lynx. I thought at first it was a bobcat, but it turned to look at me, and it had the big tail, lynx ears, and tufts. So amazing. I would love to see a lynx. I would love to. Now, they're bigger than most bobcats, right? I've seen bobcats, and they're just kind of short and small. We actually had one, honestly, down Southeast Tennessee where we were. It was like a menagerie around us. One of the things that we had were several bobcats. I'm sure at one time there was a nest nearby, and they had given birth. Finally, they relocated them all, or at least if not all, then most of them. But we would have those. We had the coyotes, because we were out in the country. We had foxes that were living in our backyard, and unfortunately, we had way too many skunks. My dog at the time loved playing with skunks. We did not appreciate that. Actually, according to the scientists, it's really hard to tell them apart. Wow. See, I thought that there was like a big size difference between the two. Huh. That's interesting. Well, I would still like to see one. Maybe someday. Yeah, we'll see. You never know what the future is going to bring. They have been studying them here and checking DNA, and they aren't seen often. Ah, interesting. Wow. There's so much to nature that is just fascinating. So that's why I think I like seeing the critters. And like when we saw the antelope, oh my gosh, I had to stop and look twice, because I'm so used to seeing deer here and in various places that when I first saw them, I thought that's what they were. And then I realized they were antelope, and I'm like squealing in the car, and my husband's like, can we kick up the volume any louder? What can I say? It's just, I get excited. And that's one of the things that I like about traveling so much, is because you get to see so many different things and learn so many different things. There are, like, it makes you aware of like some of the gaps of what they don't teach in school, as far as like history and so forth. Like, I had always been told that the first group that started the first churches here in the United States, I had always been told, were the Pilgrims. Inc. That's not right. There is actually a old mission down in the not so big town of Socorro, New Mexico. And that dates back to, like, I think the 1600s or earlier. It may be earlier. I'll have to go back and look at my notes. But it's gorgeous, and people still meet there, and they still have services there. And it's, I would never have known that ever had I not been traveling. And it's like, can we just teach this right? But, there's history is just so much more fascinating than what they ever make it seem like at school. Or was I the only one that didn't like history? Because I know one of my history teachers was really big in memorizing every date that anything ever happened. And that's all I remember about history class, was the fact that we had to learn all these dates. And I can't tell you a single date now. What? Hang on. Yes. Okay, I got it. Okay, go find Dad. Yeah. Here, take this to him. You don't want to take it? Okay. Sorry, you all. But yeah. Irene's saying, I love history, but not in school. Yes, I agree. Valerie says she didn't like history in school either. Okay. Good. I'm glad it's not just me. I think if I had to come back in a different life, I would do all my traveling out early in life and then come back and teach it in school in a way that made more sense. Like, that was one of the things I liked about homeschooling my daughter. Now, she hated it, but like when we started studying about the early part of the country, about Virginia Dare and about Lost Colony and all of that, I was like, okay, get your butt in the car. We were living toward eastern North Carolina at the time, not far out of Raleigh. And I'm like, we're going to take a day field trip and we're going to go and see all these things. Because it's just, to me, it's just a lot easier to see it up close, especially if you're traveling. Plus, national parks are cheap or free. So I took her there and she looks around. She's like, huh? Yeah, I see it. Okay. I'm like, you need to experience this. Huh, I am. It's fine. Okay, can we go now? And I was like, I understand why animals eat their young. I know other parents have said that too. Oh, okay. Irene is saying it's all of us. And that's about learning history in school. I wish I could have homeschooled mine. Yeah. I wish I could have homeschooled her longer. The thing with her is, once she got to high school, she just would not learn. She needed to go to high school. I don't regret homeschooling her. We had to homeschool her through the middle school years. No choice on that. But she was ready to go to high school. And I was ready to send her, because she was at the point where she decided that her parents didn't know anything, even though we did, and even though we had the textbooks, and she felt like she wasn't learning, and she was, because, like I pointed out to her, I'm like, how can you be in the top 10 of your graduating class of high school if you didn't have a good foundation going into high school and you're taking AP courses? But yeah, but with her, she was really sick. She had tons of health problems. So we had to work with that. And she missed so much school in 6th grade that the school principal came to me and said, hey, I know she's AB on a roll. I know she just won this county math award for this big test that they had to take in the county, and she was the winner of it. But she's missed so much school that they had to apply for a waiver for her to be able to go into middle school. And he's like, I'm sure they'll approve it. I'm pretty sure they'll approve it. And we had everything documented, we had teachers visiting her at the hospital and things like that. But it was just the system. And so my husband and I talked about it, and you have to have a degree to teach, and he had one, and then he was going to graduate school too at the same time. So we were able to homeschool her, and we'd already had to homeschool her getting ready to move to Tennessee. I mean, to move from Tennessee to North Carolina, because her school that year, it was just a bad year for her school class. Like, they had a teacher for part of the year, and then she went on maternity leave. They hired somebody for the maternity leave, but the other teacher couldn't come back for whatever reason with the baby and stuff. So the one that they'd hired for maternity leave couldn't fill in the whole time. So they wound up with 5 or 6 different teachers. And when it was getting like halfway through that last semester, she was going to have to be out for surgery on her tonsils and some stuff going on with her stomach and whatnot. And I realized she didn't know her multiplication tables. And I was like, how do you not know these? And I went in, and the school principal was like, don't worry, we're going to catch them up next year. And I'm like, we don't have next year. She has to learn these now, because when we go over to the other school, when we transfer, they're going to expect her to know this, and it's going to be like really bad. So we were able to pull some strings and start homeschooling here to get her caught up with where she should be for 4th grade. And then she went for a year, almost 2 years, I guess, or right at 2 years in North Carolina. But when they came to us and said what they did about the waiver, I was just like, okay, we filed application to homeschool. It was approved. So we homeschooled. But we still have to keep attendance when you homeschool. There's this kind of thing where, oh, you can just do whatever. No, you can't just do whatever. Your child has to be able to pass, in our case, the California Achievement Test every year. And if you don't homeschool your child appropriately, they're not going to pass the test, which she always did with no problem, except she has test anxiety. So, yeah. So we had to, we fudged one time. We told her that she was not taking the real test. She was just taking a practice test. And we were just going to time it and just act like it was the real test. But this was the practice version that she was taking. And she was like, oh, okay. So she sat down and took it, and she made like all 12th grade level on everything as a 7th grader. Really big. So anyway, a lot of battlefields around the area you live in. Yes, there are. Big Thomas Van says state parks are wonderful. Let me give a big plug for our state parks. They are wonderful. And there's some great ones in Georgia. There's some great ones down in Alabama. Tennessee state parks, though, really, they have been named the best in the nation for more than 1 year. And it's really evident when you go to our state parks. They just do. And they're free. And they do a magnificent job. So Big Tom's Van is right, and I'm glad you mentioned that so I could give it a plug, because they're fabulous. And if you ever get the chance and you're going through Tennessee, even if you are just kind of close to a state park, take the time to go visit it, because you will probably be impressed. Like, some of our state parks have aviaries where you can see some of the birds that have been injured and can't be released in the wild, or they've got a human imprint. And it's just interesting to see the birds. But they all have visitor centers that are museums, plus, hiking trails on a lot of them, and grounds. They're just great places. And of course, we do have some, if you like to play golf, we do have some with golf courses. So something for everybody. High school would be different, yeah. Yeah, it would be. But it was really interesting. She got so mad her first week or so in high school. She comes home and she's stomping in, and she takes her backpack and she throws it on the couch, and she flops down, and I'm like, who are you and what did you do with my daughter kind of moment? And she's like, they're treating me like a child. And I'm like, welcome to high school, honey. She worked through it, but yeah, high school is different. My kids said their education stopped when they were forced to go to school. It's a different kind of learning. different kind of learning. I love our provincial parks here in Canada, Tom. Very nice parks. Very, very nice parks. They're different, though, than what we have, but they're still nice. I homeschooled my son for a while under a school I made for him called the Gifted Student. That's neat. That good name. My kids' teachers always off that got hurt. My kids always had teachers off that got hurt skiing. Yeah, and that's not something we have in my neck of the woods. We have there is a couple of ski slopes, but they're over in North Carolina. Oh, such trickery, yes. I read something about the state park workers all being let go down there. Federal's having a problem. Yeah, no, they're not. But they're not expensive either. I think I paid $10, but that's been a couple of years, so things could have changed. LOL Gail, yep. Iron, you get an annual pass here, it's like $80. I haven't had to pay. Now, I think I did at Bogle, but that's down in Georgia. So, yeah. Now, some of our federal parks, we have had to pay some at like the national parks. But I will tell you, the annual pass is the way to go if you go to many of the national parks at all. The other thing is, if you are disabled, you can get a free pass to any national park. There's actually several national park passes that you can get. I'm going to pull that up. And it's the disability pass is good for your lifetime. It's called an access pass. So it's called the America the Beautiful Pass series. Let me see. Okay, I'm pulling it up just so I can show you. Because it's the best thing going. And I tell people all the time, if you live near a national park, go ahead and get the pass, even though, if you qualify, even though that pass is free and you may not think you're ever going to go to another national park, go ahead and get the pass because you might. The other thing is, like here in like Tennessee state parks and stuff, if you camp, you can use the pass to prove that you have a disability to get the disability rates, like at our campgrounds and stuff, which helps. But they won't take your hang tag because anybody can switch hang tags. But if you have the National Parks Access Pass, they'll take it. Don't ask me why. I think they should be able to take the hang tag. But anyway, here we go. So, all right. So, sharing this tab to StreamYard, yes. American the Beautiful passes. I'm just going to pull up here. Annual pass is $80, which is a really good deal if you go to any national parks that have a fee, because you can go as often as you want to for a year. For U.S. military, it's free. There's an interagency lifetime pass for seniors that's valid for life, and that's $80. I actually convinced somebody to get it when we were in Alaska, and she was like, no, I don't need it. And I'm like, here's the thing. If you get a pass, then that's also good for 3 other people that are with you. So I got to adding up and seeing that we were going to be taking groups to a couple of national parks, and it was going to be, because we could get other people in for free, it was actually going to be cheaper for me to pay for the pass on her behalf and go to the parks, and because other people were getting in free too. So valid for life, $80. Interagency annual senior pass, $20 for a year. And then the access pass for the disabled, valid for life, and it's free. So Yeah, I told a friend of mine, even if you are 60 and up, she has a disability. Like she's like me, she can't walk well. And she went in and she was able to get a pass for the disabled. And she was like, I feel bad about it. I'm like, make a donation to the park, whenever you go. You can still do that. So, yeah, I have not checked. That's probably something I need to do next time I go through Canada, which may be a while. Isn't it great? It is gorgeous. And I will say, too, at Bogle, the staff was really nice. Iron says, I only go if I'm going to camp, not bad for 22 or so, having a disability permit, so I pay half price. Okay. I thought I remembered paying 12, but that's, like I said, that's been a little while. Irene says, we have a Ministry of Transport permit here that works to get the discount. Good. And you can also, unless they've changed it, now it's been a few years since I've been to New York City, but you could also use that disability pass from national parks and show it to them to get a disabled discount for off-peak hours for the subway. And if you're smart, you're going to do off-peak hours anyway, especially if you're visiting. Yeah, if there's a way to save $1 on travel, I'm going to figure it out. Or seniors get the discount just with their driver's license. See, that would be nice. Like restaurants will give it to you with a driver's license, or if you have an AARP membership, which we make sure it pays for itself. Lake Anna State Park fee for parking is $7 per day for weekdays and $10 on the weekend. That's really pretty reasonable. Is it hard to get a pass? Because like the Smoky Mountains in Knoxville has just, I think 2 years ago, started making you get passes, and the lines are so long. And you can do it online, but there's always a glitch. I have not been successful in that. I haven't gone to any of our national parks. There's no discount. Banff is amazing. I hope you get to go sometime. We drove the Icefield Highway. We went to Jasper and we went to Banff because we're going to be, we didn't know if we were ever going to get to go again or not. That was a few years ago with myself, my husband, and my daughter back in 2009. And even though it was July, Icefields Highway is named Icefields Highway for a reason, and we darn near froze. We needed our heavy jackets. The camping 62 or older, 15% discount. That helps. First come, first served, limited parking. They kind of do that at the Smokies in some ways, as far as it's first come, first served getting a parking space, but they issue tons more passes than they have parking spaces for, and the lines are pretty long. And it's unbelievable. I would rather go to somewhere that wasn't such a tourist destination. With national parks, at least here, you kind of have to pick and choose the ones that you go to and the season that you go to. I've been to the Grand Canyon National Park a couple of times now, and the first time I went was after Labor Day in September with my grandmother. Whole long story about multi-generation travel on that one. Whew. Anyway, and that was in September. And so we had no crowds. We could drive the loop with no problem. This was before they instituted the bus, by the way. But we could drive the loop with no problem, no problems with crowds. Oh my gosh. The next time I went, I had to go when the kids were out of school. The lines were incredible. It was so crowded. So kind of watch when you're going. And of course, if you can go to the national parks during the week, you're a lot better off because you can see more, and it really makes sense if you can do that. So, if you have kids, you have to go when you can go. Let me back up. Big Tom's fans, 52, over 15%. Got it. First come, first serve. Go somewhere it wasn't such a tourist destination. Oh, hey, Retired and Loving It is in. Hey, good to see you. We did the America the Beautiful National Park Pass. Have it. Got it. Have you been to all of them, Retired? I know you've been to several. I don't camp in summer or where there are kids. Well, now I will say the provincial campgrounds that I have been to have been, there weren't many kids there. They were all quiet. They were all way back off the road. And that's something different too. Like our national park campgrounds are easier to access because you're not driving, a half mile or a mile off the road to get to the campground. And it may be different on your portion of Canada than what I was in, because I haven't gotten to go see your portion. I've been to Niagara Falls. We drove partway to Toronto, but then we got to looking at the time and realized we had to go back. So it's on my list. I go camping to get away from that here. Yay. I will say, and we've got 2 other people in vans here, and everybody's had some camping experience and some traveling experience. It is wonderful to be able to have a van. We made the mistake one year, and we went to Hot Springs National Park and happened to hit it during spring break week for most of Arkansas without realizing it, because it was not spring break week here. It was so crowded, you could not hardly turn around. I have never been in a more crowded national park in my life, and I've been to Gatlinburg on Valentine's Day weekend and stuff like that, but this was awful. So I looked at my husband and I'm like, I don't care if we lose this last night on the campground. We're going. We're leaving. So we wound up going to Biloxi. Not anywhere close together. But that was the beauty of having the van and being able to travel in the van, because I got on the phone and I'm like, where is it? Not spring break. Pulled up the data, found out that it was not spring break at the beach. And we were able to, now we didn't get to campground. We didn't do that, but we stayed in a hotel across the street from the beach, which was the first row. And we paid, at that time, it's probably higher now, but with tax and everything, we paid like $80 for the night. And I'm like, oh yeah. And they did let us out at the campground. We didn't have to pay extra. So it worked out. It's different all across Canada. Okay, gotcha. I'll be aware of that. Oh no, Gail, LOL. I would just turn around. Better off in a Walmart parking lot. But in Canada, you can't, there's not as many Walmart parking lots that you can go to. So I was kind of disappointed in that. I was really hoping. Now, I did find out that if they knock on your door, you can kind of say, hey, I'm not here all night. I am just waiting for them to open. Because the ones, at least where I was, opened around 6 a.m. But Fort St. John and some of the others, Edmonton, oh my gosh. Edmonton, Fort St. John, I'm drawing a blank on some of this. Dawson Creek. None of the Walmarts let me stay there. They all have signs up saying no overnight parking. But with me, when I'm on the road, especially like going to Alaska, I am not there for overnight. If I can get a few hours in, I am good, because I'm back on the road. Because when I have gone to Alaska, I've always gone for a mission trip. And I have to be there at a certain day, date, and time, because I'm hauling things that the team needs, and like their clothes, food, things like that. And because usually people just donate most of the food, like all the canned stuff, all the non-perishables. But it's one of the things that I drive. So I have to be there at a certain date, and time. So the minute that I pull out of the driveway here, I am under the gun. So if I can get like 4 or 5 hours, I am good. But now this last time, when I had to go through British Columbia, my dog, oh my gosh, he would not settle down in the van at all because of the smoke. He kept trying to continually alert and tell me, hey, something's wrong. So with that going on, I actually wound up driving for 23 hours, according to my Google timeline there. Just one of those things. But if I can pull over and get a good like 5 hours in, 4 hours, I am good to go and on the road. Not sure if there's any in Ontario anymore. Okay. I'll have to find out. Oh, yeah. Cracker Barrels. Some Cracker Barrels are van friendly. Yes. They have saved my hide. Now, some of them, like West Knoxville, they're not van friendly at all or RV friendly. You know, the Walmart out there, Target out there, Sam's Club out there, Cracker Barrel, it's because of the police. They'll come knock on the door. I've stayed at 3 Walmarts, but none of them allow it now. Aw. Now, sometimes with a van, if you go in and talk to them, sometimes they'll say, hey, as long as you get in a regular parking space, don't worry about it. I've had that happen. Like I was up in Berea, Kentucky, and they let me do that. And I was at Oklahoma, I think, and they let me do, I think it was Oklahoma. But after that, we got a Harvest Host membership, and oh my gosh, that has been one of the best things that we have ever done. And especially like me traveling by myself, just knowing there's a friendly spot. And with Harvest Host, part of what they do is you can stay at restaurants, wineries, churches, and you can stay there in exchange for either buying, I think it's $30 now worth of product, or making a donation. But what I found is most churches don't care if you make a donation or not because you're just in the parking space. And for me, especially me traveling by myself, it's good. I like knowing that I can just call and say, can I spend the night in your parking lot? And them say yes and know that it's going to be friendly. Especially like going through Oklahoma to see the grandbaby. I'm going to hopefully get to see her late next month. I should be cleared to travel by then, crossing my fingers, hoping the doctors, like sign off on their magic notes there so I can travel. But as you go through Oklahoma, the Stafford Air and Space Center out there, it's on I-40, and they allow Harvest Host parking. The parking lot is really large, and it's not a problem to park underneath a street light, which I like to do because I feel like I'm safer underneath the street light. And with a solar panel, I get just a touch of that like minimal charging, so your battery doesn't go down quite as fast. It's not like sunshine, but I try to always park under the lights for those two reasons. But yeah. Oh, poor puppy. Yeah, it was bad. It was bad. He would not settle down at all. I would pull over and he was like on top of me, just patting me with his hands and patting me with his paws, trying to get me to wake up so we could head on down the road. And it was just because of all the smoke. And the smoke at sometimes was so thick, you could not read the road sign until you were on it. So we just booked on up through there. Yeah. Hey, Peter's still in. Hi, Peter. Yep, I am. I'm running late. I'm sorry. That's really hard. And thank goodness they have a super sense of smell. Iron Firehorse said, I wonder that because it was all RVs setting up with patios, drinking kind of blew it for the rest of us. I try to stay out of those areas. How is your back, Gail? I'm glad you may be seeing the baby. The back is okay. Like when I move wrong, I know it. Um, these next 2 weeks, I got a bunch of appointments. So we're going to find out more about my back. For those of you who are listening, you may not know, like back in January, I slid on the ice. Terrible timing. It is always terrible timing when you do something like that. But I was working night shift at the warming shelter and they really needed me. So anyway, I fell, hit the ice, and broke my back in a couple of places, broke my tailbone. So it's been interesting. Went to the doctor, and when I finally got into the orthopedic doctor, which took forever, he's like, "You can't travel." And I'm like, "I could travel. I can definitely travel. There is no problem with me traveling." And he's like, "You can't travel because hitting the brake could have been a problem." So I was supposed to go in March this month to Kansas to get the new service dog, and I couldn't go because I can't travel. So coming up next month, I got three kind of big appointments, two really big ones on my back. One is I go back to the orthopedic doctor. Probably. I may or may not keep that appointment, but anyway, I've got to go to what they call neurointervention, and they're going to be looking at my back and possibly putting like some cement in my back. So we'll see. One of the bones that I broke was what they called a burst fracture, and the doctor said that it looked like fireworks. It was still in pretty much its same place. There was just nothing left. So that's the one they may put cement in. And if neurointervention does that, I don't have to go back to orthopedics. But hopefully, I just really want to get cleared to travel. That's all. That's all. So yeah, I've got that. And then Monday, I see the doctor for a follow-up on the EEG I had because it's ears. So yeah, we'll see. One of those things. You just roll with it. But tomorrow, I will say, I have a very exciting thing tomorrow that I am pretty stoked up about. I have been invited to go speak at a church tomorrow. And guess what my topic is? Oh, well, you can't see him. It's Pipsy. So I get to explain, talk about him, and help people understand more about service dogs that are trained in prison. So, and if we do a children's sermon, I get to read my book. And that just depends on apparently whether or not there are kids there tomorrow. So, super excited about that because those opportunities don't come around every day. And this will be the 12th church, I think it is, that I've spoken in. So, yeah. Let's see. Let me go back into chat here. I know what you mean on the smoke. Yeah, it's bad. Is it healing on its own? Not as much as we would like at all. So we'll see. It's very frustrating because I did this like the 5th day of January, and just now I'm getting into neurointervention to have it seen about. I did have to delay that appointment by 2 weeks just because of the whole COVID thing I had, but still, it's taken forever, too long to get that appointment. Oh, yeah, thank you, thanks. The timing of it was the most frustrating because they only had 2 people overnight at the warming shelter, and I was one of the 2. And that's when it really hit me how badly I had damaged my back because we were sleeping in shifts and my husband was there that night. So we actually had 3 people. And I had fallen. I went to urgent care because we couldn't go anywhere because ice and snow all over the ground. Went to urgent care, And they're like, yeah, you probably hurt it, but we can't do an x-ray. You got to go to orthopedics for that. And I had to wait 2 days to get to orthopedics. So on Wednesday night, I am spending the night at the shelter, and it gets to be my sleeping time. And I went to lay down and couldn't hardly get back up when it was time to wake up. And it was like, oh boy, but I had the appointment with orthopedics that day as it just happened, but that took me out of the rotation for the warming shelter. It was below zero and they really needed me there, but I feel terrible. Yeah. So, what else can you do? The best you can. Oh, hey, Tuber Chat is in. Hey, Tuber Chat. I've been trying to comment some on some of your Reddits to keep traffic going there. Y'all, Tuber Chat is a great channel to help connect with others. Lots of positive energy there, lots of positive vibes. So, really cool, folks. Thank you. Thanks, Big Tom. I hope so too. Especially, I don't want anything to impact seeing the grandbaby. I don't want to miss her birthday. Birthday's 1st of May, but we're going later in April. Make sure you get more than one opinion on the cement. Try an alternative doctor. This actually is going to be, neurointervention is going to be 4th opinion. I keep not shopping, but I keep hoping I'll get another one. I went to orthopedics, and then I had to go to the GP for something else. And while I was there, I was like, have you seen my MRI? What do you think? And she's like, you're going to need cement. And I'm like, I feel just kind of weird about having cement inserted in my back, What can I say? And then I had to go to the endocrinologist for a follow-up. And he's like, hey, I heard you broke your back. I got an MRI report on you. Because he does some stuff with my bones because my bones are thin because I've been on steroids so much. And he's like, I think they're going to put cement in your back. And I'm like, don't tell me. So we'll see what neurointervention says. So far, I'm batting 1,000. Oh, well. Broke my T8 in 2021. I'll never be the same. It just collapsed to 1/3 of its original size, just like a piece of compressed sponge toffee. Mine also lost height. Excuse me. Yep, all you can do is roll with it. Okay, got it. Yeah, I think so. You don't want to be like accused of like doctor shopping, but I had these appointments anyway. So yeah, so that's how I was able to say, hey, except my endocrinologist, he was like, I saw your MRI report. So I didn't have to bring it up to him. He brought it up to me. One of those things that has given me, though, more time to figure out how to help more here, which really needs to be done. So I'm glad for that. When life throws you lemons, you don't just make lemonade. You open up a lemonade stand so other people can have lemonade too. So that's kind of the way I operate. And that's just the way it is. Because I firmly believe that we just roll with the punches and live our life the best we can. Yeah. And Spider-Man the hero, he sent a medal, which is so cute. Thank you. Alternative doctors will do less invasive treatments. I'm afraid of cement for you too, where you're very sensitive. Yeah, but when you have when you're batting 1,000. Now, if I get there and neurointervention tells me something different, I'm probably going to go with whatever neurointervention says if it's different and it's not as bad. But I do have to be cognizant of the fact that if I move the wrong way, it's a problem. And the outside of my left leg still goes numb sometimes. So frustrating. I'd broken that same vertebrae 30 years before, so it was weak. Ah, okay. I'll have to look into that. There's not a lot of alternative doctors that the insurance will cover, so I have to really be cognizant of that. So if you have to drive, think about it. Yeah, see. That's the thing. I drive. Um, my doctors are mostly in Knoxville, which is like 3 hours away from me. So one of the things about living in a rural area, and I think it's important to keep this in mind, if you travel and you have any kind of medical issues, just be aware the further you go away from a larger city, the fewer the healthcare options and the worse they are. Um, we have in not every county in Tennessee has a hospital, or at least they didn't last time I had to check the numbers. The one here has an emergency department, which is more of a patch and dispatch, and we have 2 beds in the hospital. I am not kidding. It is called a micro hospital. And with a micro hospital, you have really limited, really super small, but they can still claim they're a hospital, so they get higher Medicare and Medicaid payments. I don't get that, but that's just part of what you run into when you go to a rural area. So if you have any kind of medical condition when you're traveling, I really recommend that you look into the online telehealth doctors, MD Live. I've had really great experience with them, even well before COVID, because I could be anywhere and access a doctor that way, where I didn't have to worry about what time zone I'm in. Where it is like if I'm in Alaska, there's 4 hours difference between Alaska and here. So I have had to coordinate. Like, what time is it at home? Okay, it's morning here, but and do all of that to kind of try to figure it out. So I really recommend, if you're going to travel and you're going to a rural area, check into your online options that your insurance provider will cover first, so you don't get out somewhere and start to get sick and not know who to call or what to do. Let's see. Going back in this. Big Tom's van, my right leg loses all feeling. I get you. That's actually the leg that I have the most problems with. That's why I have Pacer. So, a little pace dog. It's Pipsy. Yes, sounds like the bone is rubbing but feels more intense. Yeah, something else. I have to run, Gail. Take care, everybody. Happy spring. Happy spring to you, too. Thanks for coming in. It was good to see you again. And we've got, good night, good night. I'm actually going to have to go, too. I've gone way beyond the hour. But it's been good talking to everybody, you know? Living Positively says, this one combines more medical care integrated with alternative and is in Tennessee. So let me go in here. I'm going to open up that link so I'll have it for later. Okay. I just have to watch it because of insurance. Have to be able to get the bill. So, yay. You have a great weekend, too, and a good night. So, what? What is it, Pipsy? He's over here. I don't know what he wants. He's just staring at me. So, anyway, I'm going to go take care of whatever he's staring at me. I don't even know. Big Tom's fan says his is neuropathy. Yeah, that's what they call mine too, but there's different causes for neuropathy, which who knew? But at the end of the day, I don't think okay, this is my view about me and what I'm going through. At the end of the day, I don't know that it matters so much what they call it, except the fact that it's more the fact that it's there, and can it be treated or not treated, and how, and what are the better things to to do to treat whatever problem, you know. That's the big thing, you know. It's like, yeah, I know. He's still staring at me. I don't know what you want. All right, so I'm going to go figure him out. Thank you all so much for coming out. Big Tom's fan, huge thank you to you. Huge for all you're doing and all you've done. So, Big Tom's van says, right? Yep. You know, it's just one of those things. They can either fix it or they can't. So y'all take care, and I'll see you next week at 7:30. And have a great week. Be bodacious. Don't let life get in the way of living. Go have fun, and I will talk to you all Saturday night at 7:30. Good night.